Hello, Jessica. Nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Absolutely. So, typically for new guests, I like you to introduce yourself, give us your backstory, and why you chose the career path that you're on now.
Yes, so I am a wife. I'm a mother of three children. They are now 10, 12, and 14. And I'm also the founder and CEO of a premium elderberry wellness brand called The Power of Elderberries. And I must add, I'm also a former lecturer at Coastal Carolina University. I taught in the public health department there for 12 years before being called to being a business owner. So here I am today.
So, you were teaching health and wellness classes?
I was, yes. I actually graduated in health promotion. I got my master's degree at the University of South Carolina and returned to the same department that I graduated from as an undergrad and started teaching there at a very young age of 24. I taught there for 12 years and just loved teaching health. I was fortunate enough to meet a chiropractor around the age of 19 that really shifted my thought process from Western medicine to more of a holistic approach. And thank you, Dr. Finley, for just being that conduit onto this new path ahead of me. Even at a very young age and having children, really leaning into holistic health and wanting the best for my family. And that's kind of where all of this really started. Back in the fall of 2017, we were really struggling as a family. My husband was having some health issues going on with his liver. He was juicing. We were eating the paleo diet together. We had a whole counter full of supplements. Medical bills were piling up. I actually had a few of my classes for the first time in years actually dropped for the semester ahead because I was getting taught per class that I would teach. It really was having an impact on us financially. So I was just in the smack dab of cold and flu season at that time and thinking about years prior using elderberry to overcome cold and flu symptoms naturally while I was pregnant at the time. And because it was cold and flu season and my husband's health was where it was, I was like, you know what, we should really have some more of that elderberry in our home because it's so good for your immune system. I would love for the kids to take it. I had 3 kids under 5 at that time. And so I took it upon myself to create an elderberry syrup formula for my children and my husband at that time because I wanted better control of the quality of ingredients as well as the taste. And at that time, I was like, you know what? Since I've had my own experience using elderberry, I need to tell the world about it. So I put a Facebook post out there and I just shared how it had helped me overcome, fever and chills and all these things that I was having going on as a natural alternative. And hey, by the way, we're in a flu epidemic right now. Go get yourself some. And little did I know that Facebook post would then transform into this business and being nationally recognized and recommended by holistic practitioners to share this amazing product with other people. So that's kind of what happened in a nutshell. Of course, there was a lot of learning and growing from being a mom and a former lecturer now into the supplement industry with this product and formula that was not only supporting people's immune system, but it was also helping them in big, profound ways with their health. And that's where we're at today.
So, when you were in the health and wellness, did you do herbology as well as just general nutrition, or?
I did not know. The classes that I taught were really an array of different health topics. I myself was into holistic health. I had 3 natural childbirths. But I'm not an herbalist by any means, but I do tap into using herbs and essential oils and all those things years ago with my own children. And then coming up with this concoction of not just elderberries, but also ginger root, cinnamon, clove. And as you know, a lot of supplements on the market are so full of sugar that it really negates the nutrients and the benefits that you can even get from the supplement in general. And so I didn't want to use sugar, again, going back to what I wanted for my own family. So we actually partner with local beekeepers and we use local raw honey as the only sweetener in our products. which was also paleo friendly at that time, when my husband and I were eating paleo diet together to help support his health during that time too. So that's kind of where the raw honey idea had come in, to be in alignment with what we were trying to do to help restore his health at the time.
So just for the guests, paleo diet is what?
No gluten, dairy, soy, peanuts, only raw honey or pure maple syrup being used as sweeteners. He was having some really big issues going on with his liver at that time and not feeling well. And he was juicing every day. And we both stepped into the paleo diet. It's a lot easier to do something like that and eat all whole foods when you have someone to support you doing it together. So we used to cook a lot together, and I stepped into learning more about just whole food nutrition. And that also kind of led into the formulation that I created with this elderberry supplement, because it has such all goodness from nature that goes into it, that really helps support whole body wellness in a big way, especially when we look at the research of these ingredients.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for explaining that, because, there's the keto, there's all these different diets. And so just wanted to make sure the audience understood what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, all right. So before we get too crazy down the rabbit hole of the elderberry themselves, please tell me how your husband's health improved.
He's doing a lot better today. Absolutely. We were working with a functional practitioner at that time, and it's amazing what supplements can do for our body, really, when you have the right supplements, right? And unfortunately, it's the wild, wild west out there with supplements. So rather than us going and choosing, oh, I think you should take this and this, working with a functional and holistic practitioner that can really steer you in the right direction of a good quality supplement. And then you pair that with a good, clean, whole food diet. And it's amazing how our body can naturally help heal itself. So within 30 days, the liver enzymes started coming down, all the things that he was going through, all the blood work and lab numbers all had improvement over a month's time. So then we just kind of continued on that journey. And here we both jumped in wholeheartedly to running this business in a very quick and short period of time, after sharing this product with my friends, merely to just help educate them and share my own testimony and experience of using elderberry and what it did for my own health years ago, even before that story about my husband. And just wanting to help other people feel better. A lot of people, especially during cold and flu season, they're looking for immune support and they want something more natural than Tamiflu and those other things on the shelves. And that's what my heart was, to share that with them. And of course, little did I know that here we would be 8 years later running a business together.
Oh, what a great story. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that he's doing well and that he was able to reverse the issues with the liver. Because that's a big thing nowadays. Our food system is just so broken, like the medical system is. And, we are our own worst enemies. We used to eat food that was medicine, and now we eat this crap by default. It's not like, we have a choice. The water's dirty, the food's dirty. You can't even really understand where anything comes from. And everything gets repackaged and relabeled. And so, yeah, it's frustrating to say the least. So, anyways.
And just all the toxins, right, that we're exposed to every single day. And you really hit the nail on the head there with, we don't really even know what to believe, right? Because even seeing the words like natural on labels, it's like, oh, that must be good for me. It's natural. And nowadays it's like, don't trust anything that says natural. Natural flavors? Are you kidding me? They're far from natural. So, I could go down a whole rabbit hole of just that word natural, because it's a shame that we're really preying on consumers and what they really don't know, because unless people take it upon themselves to really learn and educate and know how to read ingredient lists and what to look for and what to not, we're just being fed whatever we want to.
Sorry about that. I tried to mute myself, but they got ahead of me. Yeah, and the same with organic. They've really pirated the name. It's up to, I think, 49% inorganic, and you can still call it organic, which is just insane. I personally am like horrified and so frustrated with companies like Omri. Omri was a clean company. There was no synthetics allowed in the labeling process. And if you go on Omri's site, it was strict. It was rigid. There was no wiggle room for getting around or sandbagging your way through it. And now you can buy products off the shelf from them that have 20% urea, and they're still Omri accepted. Omri is supposed to be only for organics, and so they've just diluted it like the natural. And so yeah, if you're not your best advocate, if you're not doing research and understanding on what it is, you can actually hurt yourself to some degree. You can make things worse, which is like you said, is not a great place to be as far as consumers.
It's a great point that you bring up with the whole organic thing, because our product is made with local raw honey and only organic ingredients, right? We have COAs on everything. However, we can't call it organic elderberry syrup. And the reason is because the raw honey that goes into our products by weight is heavier than those other ingredients. And the raw honey can't be regulated as organic here in the United States because, of course, they don't have regulation over where the bees are pollinating. Therefore, you can't have organic raw honey. So just was thinking about that as you were talking about that.
Well, I think another word that has really caught a lot of traction in the last 5 years post-COVID is regenerative. People understand that you're actually doing something better. You're improving things. It's not just organic or regenerative. Sustainable. Sustainable is a word that means you're not getting better or you're not getting worse. We're too late for sustainable. We really need to be regenerative. And so maybe that's the approach that you could take, is that when you're talking to people, it's like, yeah, this is regenerative. It's bees, and our ingredients are locally grown, and they're grown responsibly. I know Cass had a question, and we'll get to you, buddy, because I've been wanting to ask her the same thing. Is how are all the ingredients grown? You know what? To hell with it. Let's go down that rabbit hole right now. So what can you tell us what your ingredients are without giving away any proprietary information?
Yeah. So like I said, we partner with local beekeepers and use local raw honey, okay, as our only sweetener that goes into the product. What's important about that is it's unprocessed, it's unfiltered, it's heat treated. So it's not thermally heat treated in any way. It goes straight from the hives to our products, which we can just even stop at honey for a second, because a lot of people think honey on the shelves, oh, it's like honey, it's got to be great for me. And unfortunately, a lot of the honey is made with corn syrup. It cheapens the manufacturing process. And so you really want to make sure that you are getting pure raw honey that's untreated, unfiltered, unprocessed. And that's another reason why our elderberry syrup liquid is kept refrigerated, because if honey gets above a certain temperature when it's raw, it really depletes a lot of the nutrients within that raw honey. And so because we don't thermally heat process our product, our liquid is kept refrigerated. So that's little education on raw honey for you. Again, as the only sweetener used in our product, which, by the way, would be very hard to come across a supplement company in general that's only going to use local raw honey, or even just raw honey in general, because it's so expensive. And of course, a lot of people like to lower that manufacturing costs, have more profitability, and they're definitely going to use a cheaper sweetener than raw honey in their supplements, right? And sometimes it can be deceiving because you see bees and different things on these labels thinking that, oh, it's got to be healthy for me because they use honey in their product, until you switch, flip it around and actually look at the ingredient list and realize, well, no, it's actually not raw honey at all that they're using, right? On top of the raw honey, we also use the European black elderberries. They're also known as Sambucus nigra. That is the actual name for the European black elderberry. And the reason why we use the European black elderberry, one of many reasons. One, European standards are so much higher, right? But also they're rich in antioxidants, anthocyanins, rutin, quercetin, all these nutrients. And we also know that the pesticide use is highly restricted in Europe, right? The soil is less depleted of nutrients. We talk about why soil matters. And also, they are very stringent on their organic certifications in Europe that unfortunately other countries don't have as strict and stringent certification processes in place. Also, the European black elderberries have been known to have the medicinal properties associated with elderberries. There are many different species and varieties of the elderberry plant. But from what I've understood, the research, the clinical trials, all the things and studies that they've been through, that the research and the PubMed journals are supporting, are in fact the European black elderberry that have been around for so many years. In fact, the Hippocrates, the father of medicine, ancient Greek, referred to elderberries as his medicine chest many years ago, thinking that they were just a cure-all to so many health ailments. They would turn to elderberries for everything. So there's a lot of goodness that comes out of the European black elderberry. Then going back to my formulation and how it really sets itself apart from other products on the market is we also add organic fresh cut ginger root, organic whole cloves, and organic cinnamon sticks. So, yep, all of those are what go into the product. In our main page on the website shows all of them. But literally, we use all whole ingredients versus ground, and it's just nature's medicine chest in a bottle is what we describe it as. It's so pure and so clean. We don't add sugar and artificial sweeteners. We don't add fillers and thickeners and dyes and natural flavoring and concentrates. We don't add animal gelatin to our bites, which makes them very different than your ordinary gummies on the market. And I always tell people, like, if you go back to the origin story, like what I want for my own family, we take this every single day, is what I want for other people's families. And that's why, despite all the different things that I have been shared along the way over the last 7.5, 8 years of, well, Jessica, if you do this, you could save some money. Jessica, did you ever think about if you do this, we could cut costs a little bit here? And it's like, no, and no. Like, I just don't have it in me. Like, it's like this is what I take every day, what I want for my family. Why would I compromise the ingredients? Why would I cut corners to try to improve profitability? It's just not in me. So I guess I'm different than most companies because of the story and the heart and soul that goes into every single bottle. It's really something I've been called to do. Sometimes I question, like, why me? I mean, I know I'm healing and helping a lot of people, but I had no education in business or marketing or sales or all the different hats that go into running a business. So sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. As my husband has been so supportive over the years and jumping wholeheartedly into supporting this business. Of course, we both resigned from our jobs to do this, but going back to the ingredients, it's so pure and clean. And those are the ingredients we use and why we choose to use them.
Awesome. I applaud your resistance to money. That usually is the Achilles heel of products like yours, is that as they grow and expand, you get the money counter, bean counters come in and start saying, oh, if you do this, you can double this or double make more or whatever. So, I'm glad to hear that I'm going to use the word spiritually connected to the product, because you refuse to back down. And you said it, you put your heart and soul in blood, sweat, and tears into the process, into the product. And
Yeah.
again, we don't hear a lot of that these days in this world, and that's what made us so great, and why we had no health problems prior to. I don't want to get into the cabal and all that crap, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
So how has business been? Have you been expanding every year, and are you have employees now, or?
Yeah. So I mean, you're right. Kind of going back to my story, it's like, okay, I started this, but then what happened, right? So very quickly and organically, our business exploded, and within a couple weeks, my husband and I were trying to figure out a business license and getting connected with these agencies that we needed to. Get certifications of. And now we have a consumable going into people's mouths that now we're responsible for. So going back to my story, stepping in very, very quickly and learning all the things, right? And that kind of looked like we had, certifications. And okay, now do we reach out to the FDA, the USDA, like who's responsible? What agency do we work under here? And then, of course, registering and having COAs and certificate of analysis on all of our ingredients, and hiring someone to now manufacture and make this, because here I am, just a mom, a wife, a lecturer in the public health department. Like, okay, now we're kind of stepping outside my realm of making hundreds and thousands of bottles every single month. This isn't going to happen out of my home kitchen anymore, right? So then it came into, okay, now we got to find a commercial kitchen, and that's like finding a needle in the haystack, right? And now we have to hire someone to take over my formulation, because I want to go back to teaching. Like, that's what I love. That's where I'm headed in the fall. I'm going back to work, and that's what I did. So we actually hired our director of operations about 6 months into the business. He has been a friend of ours for a year, former chef, had all the certifications, actually came into our house when I was making this out of my kitchen, as I was wanting to get, some advice on how can we make this process a little bit better. Like, tell me what type of equipment I need to go buy. Like, help me out here. And so we have a team. We have a director of operations and a team that formulates the product every day, just as I was years ago in my kitchen. No compromises, no changes, the exact same from what I created from the very beginning. And we've grown into holistic practitioners' offices across the country. We started off with pharmacies and health food stores, and we have an online business. We have e-commerce business that we ship to anyone in the United States. Our product is shipped cold with ice packs and insulation and all the goodness that has to go to, keep it the way that it is. And then we expanded a few years into the business, and we actually created what are called elderberry syrup bites. And our customers were like, hey, this is great that your product's refrigerated, but it's kind of messy and it's a liquid. And when we're going traveling on vacation, it sure would be nice to have it in a chewable version. And it's like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Because again, I don't want to compromise any of the great ingredients. So we actually formulated our elderberry syrup bites, is what we call them, directly from our signature liquid product that our customers can take with them on the go wherever they go, so that those same health benefits that they're receiving from our liquid formulation, they can also take with them on the go. And again, still free of added sugar and artificial sweeteners. We don't add animal gelatin, which gives gummies that bounciness in your mouth that these don't have. We use organic agar, only local raw honey, again, that goes into our bites, absolutely no sugar. So I guess when you kind of talk about where's your business now, we've expanded into liquid and bites, but everyone's always like, okay, Jessica, what's next? What's next? Like, what kind of product are you going to create next? And for years, I just kind of sat in that, and I'm like, I want to get these bottles in as many hands of people that I can. And I feel like if we go on and create other products, it's just going to take away from the goodness that's already created. So, I think about those fast food restaurants that the only thing they make is French fries and chicken fingers. And I kind of think that that's where we are, where we have our signature product that is loved by all ages 1 to 100 plus, and it's doing amazing things for people's health. So why would we change anything or add on to distractions from what we really want in people's homes to help support them.
Extremely smart. That is probably one of the best examples of staying in your lane, because that's it. Again, it's a distraction. It becomes, oh, now we're all focused on these other things instead of the core business, and the core business is what got you to where you are. So you breezed through all of the years of friggin' getting it through the FDA and all these organizations and registrations and requirements. But I know through experience that was probably not a pleasant time in your life, fighting those ridiculous regulatory nonsense.
Can we just talk about that for a minute?
That's why I brought it up. So because I want to vent it out, because other people that are going to go through this need to hear it's possible. I talk a lot about inspiration on this podcast, spirituality, and the connection that keeps you sane enough to deal with that nightmare of a process. So please, yes, share.
Yeah, so it actually started when my husband and I, a couple months into the business, got connected with the USDA and getting food safety certification classes, because now we were dealing with pH balance, checking the water activity, figuring out how to calibrate between batches, all this equipment that we had to buy. Like, it just took it to a level that, again, I did not have the expertise in, right? So now we're actually investing money, resources, time, energy, travel into taking these classes to learn more. And it's like, okay, Jessica, so elderberries and all these other ingredients that you have, they have health benefits to them, correct? I'm like, yes, ma'am, they do. That's what nature does. And okay, then you're going to be you're going to want to talk with the FDA. Their panel's over there, and they're going to tell you exactly what you need to know and what you need to do, right? So again, here I am 2 months into business, just still making this out of my house, now getting connected with the FDA, right? And so, Jessica, you need to register your business with the FDA. I'm like, okay, no problem. I can do that. Following all the rules. I'm a rule follower. Integrity. It's all about doing the right thing. So here we are registering. And then they show up at our business. And it's like, oh, hello. Right?
What have I done?
Yeah. And so now it's like, oh, a whole file full of SOPs that you want, and compliance and regulatory regulations that we have to follow, and labeling, and oh, you want to remove 20 pages from our website. Okay, right. You don't want us to tell people that raw honey is good for them. Okay, sure. And cinnamon, yep. Oh, you have to remove that too because it supports people's health. But I'm like, well, I'm just like so confused, just kind of sitting there listening to everyone is healthy. Everyone sits at homeostasis. So it can support someone's health, but they're already healthy. So I'm trying to understand what I'm being told, trying to follow the rules, opened up a whole can of worms, and then really came to realize that, oh my gosh, most supplement companies on the market, they don't even register themselves. Why? Great question. Because they don't want to be under the limelight. They don't want to have to keep up with the regulatories and the SOPs and all the compliance checks to do business. And it's been really hard to wrap my head around why other companies aren't held at the same standards that we are, nor do they step into that. And if they don't even know that they exist, right? They could be making a supplement out of their basement for all we know and selling it online. And it's frustrating as a business because you have a lot of elderberry companies sharing all the things that elderberries can help support with your health. But oftentimes I feel very restricted in what I can share and what I can say, and removing testimonials and all these different things that I've had to do along the way. And then also coming to the realization that if someone is not registered and really working and keeping up with SOPs and all the things, they're also not testing their products, right?
Exactly.
They're not third-party lab testing their products. They don't have certificate of analysis on their ingredients for integrity and quality. Are you kidding me? And in fact, if someone is not third-party lab testing their products, you want to know what that means? Their expiration date that's on the bottle is just, you know what? It's probably good for 6 months or a year. There's no testing to confirm any of it, but let's just throw a date on it. It's all in-house testing that they do, which, by the way, just by tasting something and looking at it, does not guarantee that there's no bacteria or microbes in that product that could get somebody sick, right? So when you mention that, it's like, oh my gosh, we just have so much that we can talk about right there, because yes, I did do the right thing. And that is how we separate ourselves from other products on the market. And that is why holistic practitioners trust our brand to recommend, just like they do all other quality supplements that are registered and getting third-party lab testing and can provide COAs and do all the things that we do. And unfortunately, not all consumers are aware of all that kind of behind the scenes that has to happen for a supplement company to really be held to high standards on what they're putting out to the public. And I can confidently say that we are that brand. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And again, we could go so much further down the rabbit hole, i.e. supplements that do not go through what you do. A lot of times there's nothing in them. Like CBD, right? CBD blew up. Well, they tested, 300 different varieties, and the vast majority of them didn't even have CBD in it. And the problem with supplements is that you're eating food, you're doing all the drinking water, doing all these things that could potentially harm you, and you're eating the supplement. Well, maybe the supplement's what got you sick, but you would never know it because you could blame the meat, or that chicken didn't smell quite right, or had a tang to it. So that they can get away with this. Now, you can't get away with that in food, but supplements, you can play dirty. And you're absolutely right. That's why so few supplements go through the FDA, is because they couldn't sell them. And they know they couldn't sell them.
That's right.
So, again, kudos to you for doing the right thing, going through the pain and suffering. And you didn't even bring that up, but I'm sure there were nights you questioned, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. What do you mean I can't claim honey is healthy? Everybody's sick. Not everybody's healthy. We're all down here. So you're sitting there saying, oh, well, everybody's healthy, so you can't claim honey is beneficial to your health. And why do they say that? Well, they're controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. We all know that. And so they put blockers up to prevent things that are really beneficial to the population of America. This doesn't necessarily happen over the European Union. But here, no, they're the first ones to block anything that's beneficial. Look what they did to hemp. You can't put it in animal feed. Wait, what? No, you can't put it in animal feed. That was our animal staple until DuPont took the ability for farmers to grow that, because DuPont wanted to sell their new nylon rope to the Navy, right? And so, I'm going to calm down because I don't want to get up on the soapbox and start freaking
out. It's okay. I can get on there with you.
So, why don't tell us a little bit more about the struggles, so that you can inspire other people out there that, especially on this podcast, we have a lot of people that are permaculture wise, or, they're into the growing and living soils and not, potting soil and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit more about how hard it actually was during that process.
Well, it was very hard. I feel like I could share so much on here. It wasn't just the FDA. It was also getting involved in a trademark lawsuit and being bullied by another company for 3.5 years that kept me paralyzed and crying almost every single night going to bed. I mean, I think back and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to write a book one day. If only people knew what we have been through to get to where we are today. So there has been a lot of struggles, and it's very frustrating. Again, you're right. This is all spiritual led. This is a calling that I stepped in obedience to, not even having a clue of what I was going to get myself into. But I also feel like there's purpose in everything, right? And, you think about even our cold shipping and the escalated costs that it adds for us to do that. I could absolutely add preservatives to our liquid to bring down the pH level, to make it shelf stable, to make it refrigerate after opening, because that's what most products on the market are. That way they have a 2-year shelf life, puts more money in the business's pocket, makes it easy to manufacture it as much. Or we could thermally heat process and just take the raw honey out of it altogether, use a different sweetener. It, again, turns to refrigerate after opening. We save money, a lot of money. We don't have to ship cold. We don't have to use raw honey. But again, going back to the heart behind why we do what we do, my family takes it every day. And so the frustrating things are, there's a lot in business that we've learned along the way, a lot of hats that we've had to wear, a lot of situations that we've had to overcome. That's why I tell people this is a story of faith. It's a story of resilience, and it's a story of perseverance, leading me on to this path that I put one step in front of the other and just keep on keeping on. But something else that's been very frustrating is, of course, I love to look at other elderberry products on the market. I've tried a gazillion, right? Because we are known for the best tasting elderberry supplement on the market, the most purest, the most potent, right? All of those things go into play. But when you're at a health food store and you're looking at some national brands sitting on the shelves that people are consuming, and not only are they full of ingredients that I would never want to put into my own body in terms of a supplement, but then you look at the potency of the product, right? Going back to kind of what you said earlier of you don't even know what's in the capsule or what you're taking if they're not registered and doing the things they need to be doing. And there was a national company, I will not say any names, but their elderberry gummies have 7.5 milligrams of elderberry per one gummy. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute. Serving size is 4. Now, if I'm doing my math, we're looking at like 30 milligrams of elderberry per one serving. You get 120 for $40. Sounds like a great deal. What is that, like a 30-day supply? Taking 4 a day. You guys follow me?
Yep.
Our one bite, elderberry syrup bite, since we transferred our liquid to a chewable version, has 238 milligrams of elderberry per one. Per one. Again, other brand, 7.5. Our one, 238. So I was calculating, doing the math, and I'm like, you would have to purchase 43 bottles of 120 count at $40 a bottle just to match the potency level of one bottle of our 40 count. So when we're looking and talking about quality supplementation, I always tell people, does it have a supplement facts panel? Here's something for you. This is something I learned along the way. FDA supplement facts panel. It's now a dietary supplement, right? However, elderberry syrup, since it's all whole food ingredients, could technically, if we wanted to, have a nutrition facts panel and be sold as a food item. Okay? However, if we went the nutrition facts panel route and not the supplement facts, we would be regulated under the USDA. However, we could not talk about any health support at all with our product. And, oh, and by the way, Jessica, it would have to sit next to Aunt Jemima's maple syrup on the shelf.
The insanity of humanity.
You want to talk about lessons learned? I could just fill them all out. I have so many to kind of steer all these different navigations and paths we've been down, right? So obviously we're not going to be sitting next to maple syrup in the grocery store. That's not our product. So we're going to go down the supplement facts panel route, right? And we're going to use the word supports. And gosh, we haven't even gotten into elderberries and all the things that they can help support, right?
Oh, don't worry. We're going to go there. I think I'm trying to tease out, your resilience, your, drive, the fact that, this was a calling. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to make some money. This was like, oh, people really need this. And I want to hear about the struggles because, that's the power in the product. I mean, the sheer fact that you figured out that it would take how many bottles? 40 bottles, you said, to your
43.
one?
43 bottles.
At what price point?
Over $1,600 investment because they were $40 for 120 count a bottle. So you take 43, multiply that by 120, since there's 120 per bottle. Over $1,600 that people are paying for. Yep. And saying, God, Jessica, your product is so expensive.
Right? And again, people think cheaper is better. Thanks to Target, thanks to Walmart. Live a better life, save money. And it's, no, if you're saving money, you're giving up on something. You're compromising on what it is. So here you're taking these elderberries at 7 micrograms or whatever, because you need them, or you understand the health benefits of it, but you take the shortcut. This is something that still drives me nuts to this day. Is, and I'm not pointing this at women because men are just as guilty, but for most part, women are the support mechanism of the family as far as what food you're going to eat, what kind of health trail you're going to go on. And I'd be like talking to these people who only eat organic and they want to learn more about what I'm doing. And I say to them, hey, it's great that you do yoga and you're spiritually aware and that you're eating, whole foods to the best of your ability you think is organic. But then you have your lawn fertilized with NPK. So your kids, your dogs, yourself, everybody out there cutting, playing on the lawn, whatever, is being exposed to these horrible, not only NPK, but pesticides. I mean, Roundup is everywhere. You go to anybody's garage, these supposedly health nuts, they got Roundup in there. And they got Miracle-Gro in there. And it's like, you're missing the whole point. The health starts in the soil. The health starts in your environment. And yeah, you might be plugging in some bits and pieces of it, but you're missing the whole, right? And I say, oh, well, you're too expensive, Layden. You want to charge me $250 to spray my lawn. And I say, I'm only going to spray it once or twice, depending on once I get the microbes back, because I got to fight back all the poisons and the crap that you put in your soil. By the way, the people that are spraying your field, they should be paying you to dump their toxic stuff on your property, because that's, again, it's this money game. It's this like, sorry, I'm gonna try to calm down. Bottom line, they miss the picture for the savings. I saved $25 or I saved $100. No, you cost yourselves thousands of dollars, $1,600 to be exact, if you're comparing elderberries to elderberries.
Well, it has been very hard for me because, going back to my story, this is a product that I was making out of my home kitchen as an answered prayer for my family that was struggling at the time, where I knew, okay, God, you're calling me. I'm going to step into this. This is exactly what I've been praying about. This is what it is. I'm not supposed to go get another job or sell furniture out of my house. Now it's elderberry syrup, right? So my husband and I would be up from 7 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning. We had 3 kids under the age of 5 at the time. And I was selling it, for what, $25 a mason jar out of my kitchen, right? Little did I know that this was going to be this business, right? Here we are 8 years later. And so, of course, like with overhead and FDA, all the things that we've talked about, and, not compromising on those ingredients. And as costs have fluctuated, not compromising, not using a little bit less of this and a little bit less of this, like our formula has never changed. And so you add all those business expenses, and then wholesale. Can we just mention wholesale for a second, right? And all these things that go into it. So of course, the cost has went up over the years, and that hurts my soul because I was just a mom making it, giving it to my community, meeting people at the parking lots and selling it out of the cooler in the back of the truck with 3 kids strapped in car seats, not even realizing what this was going to become, right? However, even looking and speaking about costs, if we were to go buy a bottle of a national brand of elderberry off the store shelves right now, the average price is around $20 for 4 ounces. Okay. Mind you, a lot of times the milligrams that they're touting on the front of the bottle, as far as the potency, a lot of people don't know this, but I want you to look the next time you do. It's for the entire bottle. It's not for just one bite or a teaspoon or whatever it is an adult or a child's supposed to take. That number is so large and so big because it's the entire bottle and contents of what they're touting to be that extra strength or whatever it is, right? Then you add the sugars, the fillers, the dyes, the natural flavoring, which we know is not natural at all, right? The preservatives, all the things that go into this bottle. And what health benefit of the elderberry are you actually getting from that product? Now, the antiviral, yep, it still might be there. Let's look at the potency level, right? Elderberries are a powerful antiviral. But in terms of it being a powerful anti-inflammatory, which it is, absolutely you're not getting that. Sugar is pro-inflammatory. It's going to completely combat that benefit, right, that you're receiving from that particular product. So going back to price, if the average is around $20 for 4 ounces, and we're selling 19 ounces for $50, that's not expensive, especially what we're doing. We sell 10 ounces for $30. So we are actually not only a premium elderberry supplement, one of the best that I know, right? That through all the things that we've done to keep it as it is, I think that our prices are very comparable, if not even less expensive than what you're getting for a superior product that's on the shelves.
No, you're not charging enough.
I've been told that by many business coaches, but
I understand this is a mission. It's part of your soul, your spirit, your what drives you. So you don't want to go up in price. I do the same thing. Like if I'm working for a client and I afford it, I charge them hard. But I do a ton of volunteer work. I give product away. I was down in Malibu treating a burn scar all day Saturday with my equipment. Probably cost me $150 in gas just to get down there and back, plus the product I made, plus the equipment, the wear and all that for free, because it was the right thing to do. And you're doing the same thing, you're just doing it a different way.
Absolutely. And you know, we have most of our customers are on our loyalty membership, which is a free membership that we offer to them with up to 15% savings and free shipping on top of free product rewards every couple of subscriptions. Okay. This is a mission. This is to keep people healthy. A lot of people take our product year round. They wouldn't dare even going a day without it, with the way that it makes them feel, the way that it's supporting not only their immune system, but their allergies, their sinuses, their joint pain, their inflammation, whether it be in their hips, their knees, plantar fasciitis in the heels, their hands. It's supporting blood circulation and heart health, and just they feel better taking our products. So we want to make it affordable for them because we want them to have that auto replenishment every month or every 2 months to support their entire family. And that's why we've implemented our loyalty membership program and really have kept prices as fair as we possibly can to keep that product in people's hands. Mm-hmm.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. All right, so it's time. You have clove, you have cinnamon, you have elderberry, you have honey. All of those have incredible medicinal properties. Let's start with the elderberry, and then we'll work our way through the other three.
Okay, so in terms of elderberry, they're one of nature's top antiviral herb. They're a powerful anti-inflammatory. Dr. Ack shares that they can also be used as a natural diuretic. Elderberries, along with ginger, cinnamon, clove, they all help support healthy blood sugar regulation, which you can look at the research. So collectively, all those different ingredients have antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. Elderberries are also rich in quercetin, which is something that sometimes people will turn to help support allergies. They have properties like anthocyanins and rutin and are rich in flavonoids and all these medicinal fancy words that really help support our health at a cellular level. And I think that's what's so important to understand about elderberries is they are supporting our body at a cellular level. And immune support is not just for cold and flu season. When our body's immune system is strong and supportive, it becomes, going back to that word that you used earlier, as regenerative, right? We tell people this is a restorative and a reparative formulation because of the ingredients that go into it. And elderberry is just so amazing. All the different things that I learn about it, all the different testimonials that people come to me with, it's really hard to put them into context as to why this formulation is supporting people's health in the way that it is. And it all takes me back to what I just mentioned is our immune system controls everything. Our central nervous system, our cells, our brain, everything. So although a lot of people turn to elderberries during cold and flu season because they are one of nature's top antiviral herbs, that is very true. It's great for immune support. They help me overcome not feeling well, right? That's the origin story of being pregnant with my son and how I was introduced to them. But they have so much more to offer than just immune support and antiviral. Which is why a lot of people like to take our product year round. And that whole web of all the different things that it's helping people with, it's just fascinating. It really drives me to keep doing what we're doing because it's supporting people's health in a way that I just never imagined possible.
Well, the universe has its way of working through us. Again, tell us how elderberry was introduced to you.
So at the time, February of 2013, I was about 6 months pregnant with my son, Beckham. And I woke up with fever, chills, body aches, was in fetal position in my bed, sweating it out, wondering, oh my gosh, what just hit me? I was panicking. I told you, at that point, I was already immersed into holistic health. I had 3 natural childbirths, made all organic baby food for my kids, nursed every single one of them. I did not want to take Tamiflu. I was more worried about the health of my baby at that time and was really desperate for something more natural. I took it upon myself. I actually took myself to the doctor, and wall-to-wall people, I was curled up in fetal position on the floor by myself while my husband was home with our daughter that was 2 at the time. And it just didn't feel right. I was like, why am I going to check myself in and go back there where I know I'm not going to want to do what they're going to tell me to do? So I got on my phone at that time, started researching natural remedies for fever, chills, the things that come about in cold and flu season, and was introduced to elderberry as something more natural that helps combat cold and flu symptoms. So I actually left the doctor's office, got my hands on some, and after a few doses, my chills went away, my fever broke, and I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff actually works. This stuff works. However, what I was taking, I had to plug my nose and get it down as fast as I could because it tasted terrible. And so naturally, after my own experience of using elderberry and knowing that it helped me with my symptoms, I wanted my 2-year-old daughter at the time to take it as well. to support her little immune system, to have something more natural that I'm like, hey, if she's not feeling well, I know this stuff works. I can give it to her too, right? But the problem is that every single brand, and I tried so many different brands, she would spit it out. She would kick, she would scream. It was so emotionally damaging to me to like be in this conflict with her of taking it that I essentially just ended up giving up. But I knew that if I needed it, I could go to it, right? So that's kind of how it all, unfolded. And um, then you added my husband's health and it being cold and flu season 5 years later, right? And that's where it's like, you know, we really need elderberry in our house right now. It's cold and flu season, and it could help support Jake's health. It could help support my health. Let's figure out how to make this, and let's make it really good so that my daughter loves the way that it tastes and she can take it every day. So that's kind of where it all started, really, was my own experience and then wanting better control over the quality as well as the taste to help support my family. That led me into creating it, and God answering a prayer of what can I do to financially help my family right now.
Beautiful story. I knew that was going to be a good one. I could just tell. It's funny how certain experiences in life alter the course of where we're going. Even though we think we're on the right path, we're doing the right things in our life, and then something like this comes along and it subtly shifts you in a way that you didn't really anticipate. But as it sunk in and grew and got traction in your subconscious, in your spirituality, you came to the realization, oh, I really need to do this. And I need it for my family. But if it's good for my family, then it's good for my friends and their families. And sent you on a left turn, as we call them. And here you are. I'm assuming you're very financially successful with this. The product sounds amazing. It sounds like you've got a really good audience. So you can't even put up testimonials on your website anymore?
So we had to remove a lot of them. Pages. In fact, we had them all listed out by pages. We had to take all the pages down. We do have some testimonials that go up, but if they mention disease or anything that is a big call out in the way that it's healed somebody, I don't publish it.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about some of the ways you've healed people? This is recorded. Yeah. This is recorded. Who knows where it's going to go? So if you're concerned with your health and well-being, it's always best to say I'm not suicidal.
You don't. Yeah, let's talk about some of them. I think we should. I think we should. I think that's why I've been called to do this is for people to understand the power and healing that nature can provide. And I believe that after all, God gave us everything that we need on this earth to heal. And it's time that people really take a look at it and tap into it and know how it can support their health in big ways. And so as it started with people, sharing that it helps support viral infections and cough, cold, flu. A lot of people take it as a preventative to keep their immune system supported. But what's amazing about it, even from my own experience, is if you're not feeling well, you can take it more aggressively throughout the day, and it naturally helps support your body of overcoming whatever it is you're dealing with to feel better faster, right? But then it started with, Jessica, you're not going to believe this, but I don't need my Zyrtec and Claritin anymore. Flonase, don't even need it anymore. This has helped my allergies so much. All the while, it's also supporting my immune system. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. You know what? It must be that local raw honey that we use in our product. How cool is that? But then it's like people in clear across in California, upstate New York, because we ship to all 50 states and we have hit every single state. Just from meeting people at our local farmers markets and, sharing it with the country in that way. But they're like, hey, I live in California and I'm off my allergy medicine. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I thought local raw honey only held in your local area, right? And then I start learning about how elderberries are rich in quercetin and everything's anti-inflammatory. And I believe all dis-ease in our body comes from inflammation. So, hey, if it's helping reduce the inflammation in the sinuses, in addition to our entire body, of course it's going to naturally help with your allergies, right? Everything's inflammation. So then it started of like, hey, Jessica, you're not going to believe this, but it helped my vertigo, my sciatic nerve pain. Here's one for you. I had a woman that had plantar's warts on the bottoms of her feet. She said, Jessica, do you think this is going to help with that? I'm like, hey, I don't know what nature can do, but just take it a couple times a day. Rub it on the bottoms of your feet before you go to bed. Throw a pair of socks on and see what happens. She came running to my table a week later and said, you're not going to believe this. They all fell off. So then you have that. Then you have things like, gosh, I've had people come to me like this. Their hands literally look like this. They can't close them. They have no mobility. They've lost all hope. You can't see their knuckles at all. They're in such excruciating pain. They've tried everything. Hey, it's anti-inflammatory. Looking at the ingredients, I'll give it a try. So we've had people with hips, knees, feet, hands, and it's increased mobility. It's restored and repaired their joint health. Their joint health. Get that? Did you hear that? Joint health. Yes. People with severe migraines start taking our product. Migraines are getting better. In fact, I tested this product out when I had a headache one time. I tried drinking some water, headache wouldn't go away. I tried eating, thinking I just hadn't eaten enough that day, wouldn't go away. I got my peppermint oil out and I was like rubbing it on my temples. Headache wasn't going away. And my husband looked at me and he's like, have you tried the elderberry syrup yet? And I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like I haven't even thought to take it for a headache. Okay. So I filled myself up a full cup, capful, 2 tablespoons. I actually set the timer because I was like, I'm going to do a little test right now. And within 5 minutes, went away. So because we've been using this in our family for so long, my daughter that I spoke of, which was 2, she's now 14. This is the only product my kids have had. And everything, this is the only thing. So we don't have a medicine chest. We used to use essential oils when they were real little. And then, of course, when the business started, we tried it for everything. So we do take it if we get a stomach ache or if we get a headache or if we start feeling sinus pressure, earaches. But we also take it every single day. And so between the joint inflammation and helping support people, the heart health, elderberries have what's called rutin in them, which is great for blood circulation. So we've had a lot of people, it helped not only with heart health and like cholesterol and blood pressure, but it's also helping with blood circulation. Here's one for you. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. A couple weeks ago, I had this woman that came up to the farmer's market. She's like, Jessica, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, just tell me, what is it now? She said, my varicose veins are gone. I said, what? And I turned around and I looked at my legs. I turned around and looked at my own legs. And I was like, oh my gosh. I don't remember the last time I've looked at my own legs, but it's hereditary. My dad's got varicose veins. My sisters had them cut out. They were in the socks, the laser, all the things. Terrible. I have no varicose veins anymore. I never realized it. So when we look at the different ingredients that are going into these herbs and nature and what they can do, varicose veins is all about blood circulation, right? So the way that this is supporting not only heart health, but blood circulation, people are seeing that it shows up on top of restoring people's energy. And what a lot of people don't realize is when they're feeling sluggish and they're just tired and don't have a whole lot of energy, oftentimes it's because of poor blood circulation. within their body. So this is improving blood circulation. Well, no wonder people say, gosh, I just feel like I have more energy when I take your product every day, right? So I believe that it's restoring and supporting blood circulation throughout our body as well. Metabolism, gut health, skin health. I had a woman that took her 2 children to Disney. This was before we actually made our bites. So this was very early on the business. Her 2 little boys were taking the product every single day. They went on a Disney trip, did not take our product with them. And while they were on their Disney trip, her son's eczema flared from head to toe. And she did not connect the two, but she believes that because they were taking our product every day and then went without it, it was making an impact on their eczema and their skin health, which is very interesting too, right? But again, going back to inflammation, a lot of skin issues are also due to inflammation. So just little off the wall things like that. I had a woman years ago that walked up to the farmer's market and she was not wearing any shoes. She was no sandals, no shoes, just walking barefoot. And poor thing, her feet were so swollen. You could barely see her ankles. You could just tell like her body was just like retaining this fluid like no other. And she bought a bottle of our elderberry syrup. She came back the next Friday and guess what she had on? She had shoes on. And I'm like, what in the world? But if you look at elderberries, they're a natural diuretic. So I'm like, okay, is it helping with fluid retention? This is really interesting. Here's one for you. Elderberries can be a natural laxative. Okay? Can be. So if people get way too much of elderberry, that might be one of the side effects they have is looser stools, right? Natural laxative. So I had this woman call me. She was crying on the phone. And she said, Jessica, I met you at an event a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you remember me, but I bought your product because I preferred the taste of it over the brand that I was taking before. And I said, okay, tell me more. She said, I've been battling IBS for 35 years of my life. And she was crying so hard. And of course, now I'm crying. She said, I'd never been able to take my kids to the beach because there was no bathroom. When my husband and I would go on dates, we always sat the closest table to the restroom in the back of the restaurant. And she said, I've been taking your product for 14 days. And my bouts of IBS have completely stopped. And so when you ask, share, Jessica, tell me some things. It's like, it's such a web of all so many different things that, because I'm just the mom and, this woman that was used to share this product. It's very mind-boggling to really understand. So the only way that I can make sense of it, the only way is everything is supporting your immune system, and your immune system is supporting your entire body at a cellular level, and everything is reducing inflammation. And I really believe that it's helping people in the way in which it is, going back to why we do what we do, and also because we're not putting in anything that's going to disrupt those powerful properties that each of those ingredients have in our product.
So it's a fun fact that I think you'll really enjoy. There's a scientist that I have great respect for. His name is Dr. James White. He's a researcher out of Rutgers. Had him on the podcast numerous times. And then there's another gentleman named Dr. Gerald Pollack. So I've kind of connected the dots on these two guys. Gerald Pollack is all about easy water. Easy water is basically has the properties to push toxins out of the exclusion zone when you have a hydrophilic material. It changes the properties of the water. It is believed that when a blood cell, which is bigger than, say, a capillary, our heart would never be able to push that through. It's just not strong enough. So it's believed that it's an electrical current, in other words, magnetic. So the capillary is positive, and the cell, if it has a lot of easy water in it, is very powerfully negatively charged. Pollack believes that if the negative charge of a cell is somewhere between 60 and 80 nanohertz or nanovolts, maybe I should say nanowatts, because there's more to it than just a volt. Or anyway, that propels that blood vessel, that actual cell through the capillary that it couldn't ordinarily. It would plug, right? So you talk about cellular health with this product. Mm-hmm. My gut feeling is, let me back it up too. It is his theory or his hypothesis that it is. We know for fact that when your millivolts goes down in below 20, it's very common to see illness, cancer, all the diseases, all the problems you can possibly come up with. Generally speaking, any unhealthy person has that lower millivolt. And so you talk about Dr. James White. Now what he's done, he's gotten into what's called horizontal gene transfer. And what that means is that two bacteria come together and they go, hey, a bird just pooped me out. I'm not from around here. I want to survive here. Is there something that you can give me that I'm going to need to be in this new environment? And the other cell goes, well, what do you got that might benefit me? So they exchange, RNA. And RNA is basically the cookbook or the page from the cookbook, a copy of it. So they can then adjust their own DNA from within or manufacture more DNA. We're using the RNA signal. So when you start to combine these two things, where you're increasing your cellular health by providing it these important ingredients that allow the exclusion zone to increase, therefore increase the negative millivolts, so self-health. And then you, on top of that, you get into horizontal gene transfer and biosymbiosis. Now, biosymbiosis is crazy deep. So there's a lot of interactions between cells and microbes in the environment. We all know this. And in our bodies, too, because let's face it, at the end of the day, we are a pile of bacteria. And nematodes, protozoa, fungi. But bottom line is we're bacteria. Yeah. And so biosymbiosis is when two bacteria come together, and instead of horizontal gene transferring, they say, hey, I really like you as a person or as a self, right? I want to know more about you. And the other cell says, okay, you let me eat away your outer coating, outer shell, because they have an outer shell and an inner shell. You let me eat away your outer shell, and I will pull you into my layer between the inner and the outer shell. I'm not going to let you all the way into my center shell, because that's my control. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. So they merge together, and at one point, the what's left of the original cell, which is the inner cell, says, you know what? I really do like you, and I'm going to let you. Now that I trust you, I'm going to let you all the way in, but I'm going to turn you from who you are into an oregano, so an organ, right? A valuable, important part of me. I'm going to let you in and be an important part of me. Now, when that cell is in the right environment, with the right conditions, the right food, et cetera, that cell's like, okay, it's time to divide. Right. Well, when that cell divides, now it takes the oregano that was his buddy and turns it into a nucleus. And then it divides. So now you have two nucleuses, but one of the nucleus is a combination of both. So you talk about cellular health, you talk about building immune system, you talk about inflammatory, all of the things that drive poor health, lack of energy, prone to sickness, prone to disease, all of those things. And you have essentially created what I would really kind of list as a super supplement or a super food. You know, you can't call it food, but you really are. You're a cellular food. So I'll let you kind of spin on that for a while. If you if you got it, like, I'm sorry, I can go deep really quick with this shit, and it's a lot to fathom, but you've got it recorded up here now. So in the future, when you're meditating or walking or whatever, and your subconscious process that will explain to you why all these people come to you with all of these things. Like, you're like, I don't know. I don't know why it worked. But there's the answer for it right there in a nutshell.
Yeah. And our cells are driving everything. Everything.
Exactly. And every 7 years, every cell in our body has been replaced. So think about the long-term impact, you know, through biosymbiosis, horizontal gene transfer, evolution, right? That's evolution. You're allowing the body to evolve in a way that it's going to become more like a superhuman. It's going to be more prone to infections and aging, probably aging. I mean, if you reversed varicose veins, that is reversed aging. That's incredibly powerful.
You know, I think about all the different things. So from immune support to allergies and sinuses, to joint health, to heart health, to metabolism, to gut health and digestion. It's all anti-aging. All of it. 2 words come to mind: anti-aging. You just hit the nail on the head. Absolutely right. And in fact, speaking of anti-aging, a lot of skincare products, especially in Europe, are using elderberry in their skincare products because they're so rich in antioxidants. And so the resurfacing in cells of our skin and the nutrients absorbed into our skin. So think about what it's doing inside of our body. It's amazing. So yeah, skin health, absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so many wonderful things that have went into not only the processing and the quality of the ingredients, and it's absolutely delicious too, which makes it so, that's really just like the cherry on top, you know, and it tastes good. Check.
Which encourages you to eat or drink more.
Oh my gosh. I can, here's one for you. I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. Well, gosh, now I'm wondering if I should. Well, I had a woman call me, and let's just say that her husband was taking our product for his allergies, and he's on blood pressure medication, which unfortunately can cause erectile dysfunction in a lot of males. And he started taking our product to help support his allergies. Met him at a farmer's market. And the wife called me screaming. She was so excited. She's like, Jessica, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. Can I just tell you, Jessica, are you listening? Are you listening? They were on their way back to Virginia. And she said, this is liquid, you know what, and how it's helping my husband and I. So it doesn't surprise me when people share, but all the things that it can help support with our health. And really going back to what you were talking about with cells, elderberries are rich in what are called anthocyanins. And that's why a lot of people turn to them during cold and flu season, because what they do is they create a protection barrier around our cells. Okay. And what that protection barrier does is it inhibits penetration of viruses that have essentially bounced off these cells and can't take hold to actually give us symptoms of what it would turn into, right? So that's why a lot of people take it as a preventative to help protect their cells. And then if they're not feeling well, what it does is it prevents those cells from replicating. And it attacks the cells that are replicating. Hence why people have a faster recovery of not feeling well, because it's attacking their body at a cellular level. There you go.
You know what? Have you ever thought of getting your product tested for fulvic acid? Not folic, fulvic. F-U-L. Fulvic acid. Fulvic acid is one of the most powerful organic acids on the planet, in the essence that it has the ability to penetrate the cell. Its molecular weight is one of the tiniest that we know of, if not the tiniest. And that's why it can easily move through the outer shell of the cell wall. And what it does is it strengthens that wall. It increases the potency of the cytoplasm that is being separated from the inner and the outer cell, right? So in that, like the donut, think of it as a donut. That cytoplasm is a really powerful organic acid that the inner cell can change, could make it more alkaline, make it more acid. Again, the inner cell is controlling the outer portion. But my gut feeling is that you probably have, through the formulation of combining those 4 or 5 ingredients, have caused a organic acid to form. It might be very, very fractional. It might only be like 1%. But typically when we use or recommend fulvic acids, that's where we're at. It's like 1%. People go, that's ridiculous. That's not enough to make any difference. And it's like, no, you don't understand the power of this stuff. If you take 99% water, 1% fulvic acid, you will blow stuff up on a cellular level. Your plants will respond. In the cannabis community, they swear by fulvic acid. They don't understand, like, why it does so well, but it's the same thing. It strengthens that cell, the individual plant cells. And I'd be willing to bet money that you by default have created a fulvic-like, if not a fulvic acid in the combination of those ingredients. And the fact you don't heat it, the fact you don't pasteurize it, which is heating it,
Right.
the fact you're sourcing all of these really pure organic ingredients. That's what nature does. She provides these things, vitamins and minerals, and these complex second, tertiary metabolites that we haven't even gotten into yet. We're running out of time. You're going to have to come back again, but let's get through this podcast first, because I think that there may be some deeper levels of explanation as to why it's doing all of these different things. And I think
figure it out.
I mean, let me ask you this: how did you come up with that formulation? Was it just trial and error, or did you just like come to you and you say, "Oh, I got to add this much of this"?
It's probably at least 50 different concoctions.
Okay.
Okay, at least the recipe changed at least 50 times. I started with using ground cinnamon and ground ginger and ground cloves because it was a lot cheaper. And so when I did that, my 2-year-old daughter at the time, and really when I took it too, those ground spices would hit the back of your throat, and it was almost like a spicy type of taste, right? Especially with ginger. But then also learning about just the ground spices versus whole and the nutrient difference between the two, I switched it up and I was like, let's go to whole. Let's actually slice the ginger root and use whole cinnamon and whole cloves and see what that does. And it created a much more balanced taste to where The concoction's delicious, no spiciness, very smooth, no aftertaste. So it was trial and error. But again, all these different little variations in the recipe was literally for my daughter that was 2 at the time. That was all that mattered to me, that she loved it. A story that I didn't even tell you is that I was sick all the time as a kid. I grew up on antibiotics. In fact, I would take them until my symptoms would go away, and then my mom would put them back up in the medicine cabinet, and then we would turn to that same bottle of antibiotics when I didn't feel well again, and we would finish it till it's gone. My gut health, let's just thinking back, is completely destroyed from all that, right? But I absolutely hated taking medicine, and I have horror stories of being laid on my back on the kitchen table trying to get me to take medicine. I would kick and I would scream when it came to taking antibiotics. My mom would put them on a spoon with grape Kool-Aid, and then I would have a whole bottle of grape Kool-Aid that I would chug after I would get the antibiotic powder down on a spoon because I couldn't open my throat to swallow pills. So from my own experience as a kid, I wanted parenting to be ease. And that's what created that formulation, was to make it as easy as possible in a supplement that my kids would absolutely love with whole body nutrition. And then I hear all these stories and I'm like, what in the world happened? What did I do? Somebody please help me understand this.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yes, you are. That's why we have to meet again, because I love all the talk. My wheels are just turning like a hamster wheel right now.
And they will for a while, but I promise you it'll all sink in, and then you'll be like, oh, now I know what he's talking about. So pretty much it was driven from your life experiences to blend these components together in a way that drove the experience, the taste. You know, let's face it. We as a system, as a human being, have many defenses. One of our most important defenses is smell and taste, because they prevent us from consuming or drinking things that could kill us, right? So on a cellular level, our cells control the gag reflex, the whether it's something you swallowed or something you smelled. That's a like ding 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 warning sign. So in order to satisfy the lifelong experience of what you had gone through, and now you're a mom, you're a mama bear, and nobody better get between you and your cub, you're going to come up with something that she would want, right? It would go past, circumnavigate, go around any type of reflex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's called divine intervention.
Absolutely. I always tell it was him, though. It's not my formula. All the tweaks and the changes. And speaking of reflux and all the things, this is one of our elderberry syrup bites. So it's like a little traveling pod of our liquid form. Okay. So same ingredients. We do add organic, non-GMO ingredients. Non-organic, non-GMO preservatives to keep them shelf stable. Okay. We had to bring down the pH level, but we're using the mildest form. But some people, they're very texture driven people. They do not like these. They do not taste anything like a gummy. They're not chewy. They're not sticky. There's no sugar in them. They're not coated in sugar. And you know what they remind me of? That jellied cranberry sauce out of the can that I used to have as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see how easily I just kind of like broke them? Yep. So they're like Jell-O. See that? They're just like Jell-O. They break apart. So people that do have that reflux and texture thing that you're kind of talking about, the bites are very unique and different. Your teeth just slice right through them. They're like a firm Jell-O, jelly sauce type of taste. But goes into my passion. I didn't want to put junk in them. So I always tell people, when you take our bites, you appreciate purity more than anything else, because there is nothing on the market that tastes anything like them. They would never make them the way that we do, because it costs too much. They would never do it. They would never do it. So again, only local raw honey. We actually have to put more raw honey in the bites to compensate the little bit of citric acid that we have to bring down the pH level. So gosh, all this stuff that just brings up, we really could talk for hours.
Oh, we will. I promise you, we will. But typically at this point, I take over the questions, and you've chalked up quite a few of them here, especially in the last few minutes. So
Okay.
let's bring on Ken, and he's going to kind of handle other questions for you.
So the first one is from Cass. How do you harvest, process, and grow?
So we don't harvest anything. No, we get our ingredients in. We make everything from scratch. We weigh out every single ingredient, new batches made fresh every single day in our small little manufacturing facility that we have right here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I hope that answers the question. Is we don't put it in our own hands to grow anything. As far as processing, though, that is part of the manufacturing process. And, making sure that we don't thermally heat process our products and negate the ingredients that we use in any way. And that's another reason why our liquid is kept refrigerated, like I talked about before.
So Cass is a cranberry grower. He's like a lot of the people that tune into this podcast. And he's really intelligent. He understands biology and stuff. I think he was more directing, like, where you purchase. Like you said, we only purchase European elderberries. Where do you source, say, your cinnamon or your ginger? Do you know if it's organically grown or if there's any, pesticides used or anything?
Right. So everything that we source is organic. We have COA, certificate of analysis, that help support that. And knowing that, we partner with an organic farm in Bulgaria. That's where we get our elderberries from. So we do rely on those COAs, right? Those certificate of analysis that help support and make sure that the ingredients that we are purchasing and getting organic are actually organic.
There you go. That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the people watching, because of the cannabis background, they understand all the testing that goes in, and you guys are doing those tests. You don't have to, but you're doing those tests before any of the ingredients go into your product. And I think that is an amazing thing that for people to understand.
If the food industry was held to the same standard as the cannabis industry, or what you've held yourself to, there's nothing we could eat.
The shelves would be empty.
They would be empty. Mm-hmm.
It's horrifying to think that, but that's fact. Like there was people that did this. Like they were protesting the level of requirements in cannabis just to bring it to the market. And so they started taking food out of the grocery stores, even out of Whole Foods, stamped organic, and ran it through the same testing procedures, and it would have failed. They would not be able to sell it or consume it.
Oh my gosh.
Insanity. Anyway, again, kudos to you.
Wow.
So our next question, again from Kaz, have you done stinging nettle or yarrow?
No. I'm not real familiar with what that is.
There are a couple of interesting plants. Stinging nettle has a very high silica content. I don't know all the properties of yarrow, but again, it's one of those medicinal plants. But Cass, just to answer kind of her backstory, was that she's had a lot of people come up to her and say, "Whoa, what's next? What's next? What are you going to do? What are you going to work on now?" And she, through spirit or connection, just came to the understanding that no, this is what I'm supposed to work on, and that would dilute my focus on what I'm supposed to do. Again, I applaud you for realizing and understanding that, and not getting caught up in the celebrity or the money or any of those things that, again, the fact you still go to the farmer's market says it all. But you're driven to drive this horse and buggy, over the horizon and keep going. And so again, that's a beautiful message to so many people who get distracted by all these other things instead of focusing on the one thing perhaps that they were called to do, or maybe they didn't even realize they were called to do it because they're so distracted with all these other things. So
yes, and I will say that when even being at the farmers market, which we love connecting with our local community, and of course Myrtle Beach being very high tourist city, we meet people from all over the country, which we're able to share this product with. But people will say, okay, so I want the formula for the immune system, but I really also want the one for the joint inflammation and pain and all that. So I'd like those two. And I'll look at them and I'll say, guess what? It's all in one. You need to tell me it's going to help with my allergies, reduce my inflammation, support my immune system, blah, 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 blah. Like, well, that's what the ingredients do. That's how our customers are experiencing this formulation. So you can, and we've had people let go of other supplements that they're taking and they're saving money, right? So they're taking other things for inflammation. And what a lot of people do is they'll stop taking all other supplements that they were taking and they'll just take this because they want to know what it does for their health and their body, how it makes them feel. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, they end up saving money on their supplements. And also going back to what you had shared about just staying focused, if it resulted in using the exact same formula to create something else, then yes, I would step into that. But I'm not altering the formula. I don't want to go through any of the stuff that I went through anymore. I have no desire, none at all. And I will share this. We have people giving our product to their dogs. Okay.
Nice.
So, and this can be a whole nother podcast, but I am going to be stepping into keeping our formula the exact same and creating a supplement, i.e. our elderberry syrup bites for dogs.
Nice. Oh my God, that would be huge. And again, you've got to circumnavigate the vets because they're just like the pharmaceuticals. They're focused solely on pharmaceuticals. If you start talking to them about, I was thinking of adding a little apple cider vinegar in my dog's water bowl to help with, itchy skin, they'll say, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's going to screw up something else. Here, give your dog this pill. But there is a tremendous movement, especially within dog trainers, dog groomers, where they're kind of like anti-vet now. Like, because of all of the experience, so many people have lost pets because of the pharmaceuticals causing secondary problems. So you could blow that up if you just start focusing like on Facebook pet groups, right? Mm-hmm. Just brainchild for you. But yeah, I'm all about supporting that. I was never a dog person, but I inherited Poe, the little black and white one, the mini shepherd, from unfortunately my partner passed away a few years ago. And I had no idea how to deal with him. He was a one-person dog, and he freaked out. Like, he was biting me, barking at everybody, trying to bite people. And I had to take him to a trainer because I didn't understand, like, well, how do I turn this around? Yeah. And I would give it to him in a heartbeat and my other little guy already has joint problems, and he's only 2 years old. And he's a Chihuahua mutt that came out of a kill shelter. Then he got transferred to a regular shelter, broke his leg in 3 places. He has a kind of a hop to him. So yeah, let's talk after the show. I got to figure out how to get him some of those because I think it'd be really good for both of them. And I probably ought to take it too, right, Ken?
You do, Leighton. You've been sick the last few weeks, brother. We need this like yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get on that subscription plan.
Good. But you guys You're in Canada too?
Say again?
Are you in Canada as well?
Cannabis?
No, he's in California.
I'm in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Ken is in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Canada.
Yeah,
No,
we don't ship, only in the United States. But if you're in
Oh.
California, we can get it to you.
Beautiful. Yeah, there was
Well,
a guy
that
that
kinda-
was from Australia, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk. But this is kind of leads into the question: is what state is your business in?
Yeah, so we're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Yep.
And it's hot there.
Oh my God, it is very, very hot here. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what
And
do you put on a sweater when it turns 80?
Yeah, maybe about 78. You're about right on it.
The human body can adjust, you know.
I tell you what, I'm from Michigan, but I've been here about 23 years and my blood has thinned out so much. So yes, I'm cold about 75, 78. You got it.
I'm so wimpy. I get cold when it's 50 and I overheat when it's over 75. But my temperature is 75 and sunny pretty much all year round.
You guys are just so I won't even say it. I just won't say it. You know, if you guys had to deal with minus 40, you guys would be like in 10 layers of clothes.
And then it gets up to 100 too during the summer, right?
It can get up 100 plus, but we generally don't have it either extreme for very long, you know. But it also depends on where you live. Like, what's the humidity? Because if you have the moisture in the air, the cold feels a lot colder. It penetrates deeper into you. Where in Alberta, you know, being in the prairies at minus 40, it would feel like minus 10 or minus 12 if you were on a coastal or close to the lakes. So there's a lot of things that you have to deal with. But anyway, let's get back to the questions. Cake wanted to know is, when shipping to Australia, are you looking at shipping outside of the US in the future?
Oh, that's such a great question. Honestly, I don't think our liquid, I don't think it would make it outside of our country. It's so expensive, even just here in the United States. You know, the ice packs, the insulation, the boxes, the expedited shipping, all the things that we go through, going back to not wanting to change a thing. So I'll have to look into that for our bites. But right now, we just ship within the United States, and I'm so sorry. I wish I could ship to Australia. I mean, I guess we could, but we'll have to see. It makes me wonder, just like, what are those shipping costs, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and maybe it's in the future looking at having a manufacturing division in Australia or in Europe. You know, that'd probably be work a lot better than trying to ship out of the U.S. But that's just, you know.
Hey, Ken, have you been putting up her website? Because
if anyone wants to just blow it up and franchise it out, you can take the lead on that, and I'll let you do it. Oh,
there you go.
Now let's get back into our next question. Is there a limit to how frequently you can use it?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, if you go online, there's a lot of different things that you come across online in terms of elderberry. Some people say you shouldn't use it every day. Some people say, you know, if you're on blood thinners, elderberry is probably not a good option for you, especially with us combining it with like cinnamon and the way that it's affecting heart health and all those things, right? You might come across people with autoimmune to stay away from elderberry because elderberries help support the immune system. But here's another interesting one for you is we have people with autoimmune that are feeling better taking our product. And I completely leave it up to the individual. Go talk to your doctor, talk to your provider, do what you feel is best. These are the ingredients. That's all that I can share with you, right? So to answer your question, there are some things that you come across that say, don't use elderberry every day. While we have found our product being supportive as a daily supplement, especially for those that take it, and the feedback that we've been given over the last 8 years of doing so. So I leave it up to the individual. I tell them to do as they choose, whether they take it seasonally, whether they take it year round, or some people just like to turn to it as a natural remedy when they're not feeling well. But from the information that we've gathered, I do believe that it is supporting our health in such a profound and big way by taking it every day, that if you choose to step into that, like so many of our other customers are, and as a result are feeling better as a result, then there you go.
Promotes healthy cells and cell division, and you need the different components, guys. It's a combination of components that make up your cells. So who knows what components you're getting naturally to promote all the other cell division and cell health. So yeah,
you know what people can too is, what's so awesome about nature is like it has so many different properties and benefits, as we know, right? But what it does for my body is going to be completely different for what it does for your body. I'm going to benefit in the way that my body needs it. You're going to benefit in the way that your body needs it, which is so cool about these adaptogens and how they work, again, at a cellular level, right? Based on what our body is needing. So I just love that.
So you know why they're saying don't do this and don't do that with elderberry? Because they're pharmaceutical salespeople, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you know, the pharmaceutical industry is incredibly powerful, deep hooks, tentacles beyond our comprehension. They're the ones that are going to naysay things that work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you hear a bunch of naysay, look deeper at why they're saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect their income, or perhaps their husband's income, perhaps their children's income. You know, maybe their children are doctors. So, oh, no, don't take elderberry. Take our blood thinner. Sorry, that's the truth behind why people naysay.
You know, in 1995, the Panama government employed the use of elderberry for the flu epidemic that they were experiencing at that time. I'm like, well, that's a pretty smart government, right? To actually tell the people what exactly they need to support their health in that moment. So you can go look it up. I applaud them for that. And I wish that more people stepped into sharing what it can do and how it can help support the health in the times that we need it the most too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ken's
I won't. Go ahead, Leighton.
I said Ken's doing his best. He's here. He's working behind the scenes every week to make this show happen. So
I love
it.
Well, and what people need to understand is the components that you're bringing into your body are going to be used in a variety of different cells. And it's just a matter of the pure natural components, and the combination doesn't matter. As long as you're getting all those into you, it's going to help. It's just people are afraid, especially when they go to their doctor. They're, oh, no, don't do this, don't do that. Try it, but try only one thing at a time. Don't, drop all this other stuff and try this, because all the side effects from the other stuff is going to cause a different result. Where if you add it in and then you're seeing changes, it's this that's causing the change, and then slowly back out of the other stuff. That's the way of really testing your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was great advice. Most people do the opposite, and then because they're withdrawing from all this other crap, they're not getting the results they need. So again, add this in and then slowly back off on the things that you don't need.
Yeah.
I just saw a question. Mm-hmm.
Skin issues can be related to gut biome too. I wonder if it heads or heals gut inflammation.
Yes. So I believe that, well, first of all, that word inflammation, right? We know that it is a powerful anti-inflammatory. And I feel like that's why we're having such an array of different things. It's all coming back to inflammation. And it actually made me think of not only the woman with the IBS that I was telling you guys about. However, I had a woman that came up to the farmer's market. This was like 6, 7 years ago. We were just getting started, and she had this horrible pain in her side. She was actually on a liquid diet. She was getting fed through a tube. She had been to several different hospitals, doctors, lab works. Nobody could figure out what was causing this excruciating pain in her abdomen. Okay. She starts taking our product. A week later, she runs up to my table. She's bawling her eyes out. She runs behind my table and grabs my neck and says, "You have been an answered prayer for me. The pain is gone."
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that it's a powerful anti-inflammatory. And I believe all dis-ease in our body is inflammation related. I also believe looking at the ingredients, it absolutely helps support gut health.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, our gut is our second brain. And if our gut's banged up, we can't think straight. We don't have the energy we need. We can't digest food properly. So we're not getting the vitamins and minerals we need. It all starts with the gut. Good gut health, good body health.
Yep. All starts with the biology in the gut. That's that gut biome. If you don't have that, if you're taking, the pharmaceuticals because you're sick, you're killing the gut health. This way, you're adding everything that's good into your body instead of killing it. That's what's wrong with our soils. We're killing the biology that breaks these components out of what we're consuming. We need to make sure that that's healthy and strong. And as we love to say, biodiverse, the diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we got one final question from Cake in a Cup, from Australia. Can you just swallow the gummies like a pill?
Our particular elderberry syrup bites, no, you can't. They're quite large and they break up in your mouth, like I showed you guys, and you would probably choke on them if you tried to swallow them whole. I guess a dog might swallow them whole, but I would not recommend it. So no, chewing them up. Now they do have elderberry capsules and all the things. If you're, wanting to get elderberry that way, it's not going to be nearly, tit for tat for what we're offering here. But maybe that particular person prefers something to swallow.
So why don't you take your gummy formulation and just squirt it into a capsule?
You just gave us an idea there. I like that. Gosh, interesting.
Yeah, my partner used to make medicine, and something else I meant to point out that you said earlier that was really impressive is like you said, you put your heart and soul into something, and Pauline used to pray over the medicine that she made. She had a lot of cancer patients. I was blessed because I'm a soil biologist and soil engineer that I became close with the cannabis industry very quickly on. Normally outsiders aren't trusted, but because I'm a living earth guy and they're all about their plants, they welcomed me in. So I got access to, organic and regeneratively grown cannabis extract that I provided to her for her clients that she was trying to treat. Again, she was a licensed, trained, or certified in 17 modalities, including Ayurvedic medicine. She was a medicine woman, literally. And so she would use these organic capsules. I forget what the ingredients was. And she'd put the syrup or the cannabis extract in based on the client's need for dosage. And you could do the same thing. Like you could fill them half full, you could fill fully full. They're bigger ones, they're smaller ones. And then you get these little trays where you kind of put them in there and shake it, and they all fall into a little hole. and you just go on top of it with your medicine, and then you can snap them back on. So it's not a huge investment in to do it. Ken, are you just showing one right there? There it is.
This is a 100 slot one. No, it's most of the body of this is green, so it won't show up on the screen. But yeah, you just you create your own. Yeah, it won't show up at all.
Okay, but here's the thing that we have to think about here is if this product tasted awful, I can see where putting it in capsules might be beneficial. But y'all don't even know what you're missing here. It is so delicious.
So chew on.
The liquid tastes like apple butter, okay, to give you a flavor profile. The liquid tastes nice. Just like apple butter. And that's why my daughter loves it so much, right? And the bites, some people say they kind of remind them of like a cooked beet, like the texture, like where I was telling you, kind of like a jello-ish, right? They're not as flavorful as the liquid is. Our liquid is our signature product. But they're made from the liquid. So all those properties and whole food ingredients and very little, preservatives that we're having to add to them to keep them shelf stable. We're keeping them as pure as possible. But I love the bites. I keep the bites at my kids' school. I fill out the medical form and throw a bottle of our bites for each of them so that if they ever have the sniffles or, allergy symptoms or a headache at school, they go up to the nurse and they take our bites. Like, I'm telling you guys, this is the only thing that we take. I'm trying to tell you, it's amazing. It really is. So we use it for everything, but I guarantee that you guys will love either the liquid or the bites. And with the liquid, you just take 1 tablespoon a day. A lot of people are taking it in the evening, and as a result, they're sleeping better. So that's something to keep in mind, is taking it at night. And for the joint health and inflammation, what's been so effective for our customers is that double up, a tablespoon in the morning, a tablespoon at night. And so a lot of people do that for their joints. And then if you're, allergies every few hours as needed, once they're controlled, your body becomes acclimated to it. You can kind of taper down and get down to that once a day just to keep everything at bay, all the while it's supporting inflammation, immune health, and all the things that we've talked about.
Ken, can you put that website up again? I'm going to take a picture of it.
Very easy.
Sure.
The power of elderberries.com. Very easy to remember. Yes.
There you go. All right.
And guys, the links are in the description as well.
Nice. Yeah. So I'll be reaching out probably tomorrow. I want some liquid and I want some gummies for the boys.
Yeah, and I'll just mention too, if there's any holistic practitioners that are listening, we have an awesome wholesale and affiliate partnership that we have for holistic practitioners across the country. This is something that we offer to them. We're also stepping into employee wellness programs. So if there's any business owners out there that want to support the health of their employees, we are also partnering with businesses in that way to keep their employees healthy. I tell you guys, it's a mission. This is a mission. It's mission driven. I'm here to help keep people healthy. So that's
if you think about that, the whole employer, like, you lost production from sick employees and employees spreading it around the office. And if you keep them all on this and that you don't get the flu and it doesn't spread around your office, how much more productive are you? Mm-hmm. That's a great avenue. Well, I can't thank you enough for today. I mean, you're a beautiful soul, beautiful spirit. You're on a mission from God that's so powerful and so important. The fact that we went down the rabbit hole of cellular health and the testimonies speak for themselves. You're not a new company. You've been around for a long 8 years as a definite, we're here. We're not going anywhere. Testimony to your hard work. And I really appreciate you, giving us 2 hours of your time to come on here and really share your story and your purpose and this product, because quite honestly, I'm really excited about it, especially for him. This is Cheeto. Mm-hmm. He's got some health issues, man. So, and me too. I just got off being sick for like 3 weeks. So I'm sure it's going to help me. And to be honest, I haven't been sick in 10 years. I played in school biology. My fingernails are always dirty because I'm in compost every single day. Yeah. So I've tested, that's why I attribute my health being as good as it is. Sure. But whatever that last thing that came around, boy, it kicked my
Yeah. And you'll see a pop up for 10% off your first purchase. You can utilize that, and then you can jump on our loyalty membership, auto replenishment, savings, free shipping, all the things that come with that we've built into it.
Oh, that's
Beautiful. I'm
fantastic.
looking forward to be another testimony for you.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited to hear.
You don't understand. I have my right shoulder is completely blown out. If I sleep on that side, I can't lift my arm the next day. My right ankle's been broken so many times, and then I've rolled it because it was broken, that when I put my feet up, that one falls completely flat on its side. So my hips are shot, my knees are blown out from years of contracting. I did thin slab, stone manufacturing, carrying stuff around. Blew out a disc so bad that I had to have a discectomy. The disc above and below are completely herniated. If I twist the wrong way or if I do something just a little bit off, the pain is excruciating. This is what I live with every day. So if this is as good as you say it is, you're gonna give me a new life, a new break on life, because I refuse to take pharmaceuticals. Everything I've ever done just doesn't work. All the supplements I've tried, it just doesn't work. I've given up. I've just been like, okay, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with until I die. So I'm really looking forward to this.
My mind is just flooding with all the things that I haven't shared. I mean, I tell you, there's a lot, and it's a web. Menopause, respiratory, post-surgery pain relief. There's just not enough time.
All right, well, we're gonna get you back on. Why don't you, in the meantime, take a notebook and just kind of sketch out like some of the other benefits, so that we can dive down that rabbit hole. Because I know this 2 hours goes by so quick. People are like, oh, 2 hours, that's a long time. No, it isn't. We just scratched the surface, and you're witnessing that now. So yeah, let's get you back on. Whenever you have time and it's convenient, you've got the calendar. Just hop on there, sign up, and we'll have you back on, and we'll go down the further health benefits. And hopefully by then I'll have mine, and I could be testimonial as well on that podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited to get your hands on this product. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It really has been such a joy. I love teaching, and I was pulled out of the classroom, and it's like, okay, what is my purpose here? Like, yes, this formulation was created, but Miss Lowry misses the classroom.
Well, so there you go. This
is part of me just stepping in and just getting on podcasts and sharing our story, my story, this story, his story. So I'm just excited. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Ken, as always, thank you so much for behind the scenes work and you organizing this every week. And I'm sure there's some housekeeping you probably need to wrap up before we head off.
Well, just that speaking of menopause, we actually had Dr. Paula Ruffin on last Sunday, talking about menopause. So we're going to have to get you on with the doctors as well, a couple of chiropractors. That'll be great conversations. As for the channel, Wednesday, of course, the Gardens the Untold Story with Andy Lopez. The Chiropractic is Sexy on Thursdays. Dr. Paula Ruffin on Sundays. And then, of course, whoever we have for next Monday, it'll always be an amazing show. But, guys, thank you very much. And we'll end the stream now. And Jessica, stick around. We'll talk after the show.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.